Call the meeting to order. Agenda item 1.1 that the Council of Town of Kindersley, having established quorum, resolves to call the August 10th, 2020 regular meeting of Council to order at the hour of 5:01 p.m. I have a mover and a seconder for that. So at least all in favor? Carried. Okay. Anyone see anything they want to move from the consent agenda for addition to the regular agenda? I'll answer that. There's only one item on there. It's a monthly report from Saskwater, so I think we're okay there. Excuse me. Agenda item 2.2 that the Council of Town of Kindersley resolves to adopt the agenda for the August 10th, 2020 regular meeting of Council as presented, and that a copy of this agenda be attached to and form part of the minutes of this meeting. Again, I need a mover and a seconder. Mr. Galbraith, Anderson, all in favor? Carried. Conflict of interest. I believe that I have a declaration from Councillor Baker on items 1.1 in the in-camera agenda and 7.2 in the regular agenda. Any further conflicts that anybody wants to report? Seeing none, move on to 4.1 that the Council of Town of Kindersley resolves, whereas the time being 5:03 p.m. that the regular meeting of Council be adjourned to a confidential in-camera meeting. Need a mover and a seconder for that. Chris. All in favor? PM that the confidential in-camera meeting is concluded and the regular meeting of Council is resumed. Mover and seconder, please. Gary. All in favor? Thank you. Agenda item 6.1 that the Council of Town of Kindersley resolves to approve as presented the minutes from the July 31st, 2020 special meeting of Council, and that these minutes be attached to and form part of the minutes of this meeting. Again, I need a mover and a Chris. Second, Rob. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Okay. 7.1. I get to read. That the Council of Town of Kindersley resolves that whereas on May 1st, 2020, the federal government amended the criminal code by ordering regulations prescribing certain firearms, components and parts of firearms, accessories, cartridge, magazines, ammunition, and projectiles as prohibited or restricted. And whereas the Government of Canada is planning a buyback program to get the guns out of circulation, which is expected to cost between $400 million and $600 million, and if the history of federal estimates repeats itself, may likely be in excess of $1 billion. And whereas the Town of Kindersley supports the Government of Canada's commitment to end violence, whether firearms are involved or not, by taking the opportunity to be more engaged and to collaborate with the public and local stakeholders to develop more effective solutions on the issue. And whereas the Town of Kindersley supports initiatives to end violence, however, feels very strongly that the Government of Canada is wasting valuable resources and taking the wrong approach to gun control that will have zero effect on gun crime. Therefore be it resolved that the Council of the Town of Kindersley urges the Government of Canada to revoke the amendment and instead institute the following: target crime and focus on enforcement through enhanced enforcement capacity for law enforcement and border services, as well as harsher punishments for firearm trafficking and crimes involving firearms. The current ban targets law-abiding owners rather than the holders of illicit firearms that would not greatly impact crime reduction. Number 2 is collect and share relevant data on crime involving firearms through improved collection and sharing of data on crimes involving firearms, particularly in terms of source of illicit firearms and the type of crimes being committed. This data is critical for supporting law enforcement and border agency efforts, as well as informing policy and legislation. Collaborate with firearms community and industry to support communication, training, and public education regarding firearms to create a multifaceted approach rather than implementing a ban in isolation. And further, that a copy of this resolution be sent to the Right Honourable Justin Trudeau, Prime Minister of Canada, the Honourable Dave Lametti, Minister of Justice and Attorney General for Canada, the Honourable Bill Blair, Minister of Public Safety and Emergency Preparedness, the Honourable Don Morgan, QC, Minister of Justice and Attorney General, the Honourable Andrew Scheer, Leader of the Official Opposition, the Honourable Scott Moe, Premier of Saskatchewan, Jeremy Patzer, MP for Cypress Hills Grasslands, Mr. Ken Francis, MLA for Kindersley, Urban Municipalities Saskatchewan, and Saskatchewan Association of Rural Municipalities. Audrey, I'll perhaps get you to speak on this, if you would, please.
Sure, through the mayor to council. So this was initiated by the city of Cold Lake. They just felt that the thing that the government is doing isn't going to is going to cost too much money, and it's not hitting the right people who have firearms. So whether it be your farmers or your hunters or whatever, this thing that they're doing isn't going to, and it's going to cost. So yeah, so they just asked, what they did is they passed this and sent it to the Alberta side of what Saskatchewan has, so the Alberta urban and the Alberta rural, I don't know exactly what those are. And then, yeah, so rural municipalities of Alberta, the urban municipalities of Alberta, again to those same people, just to say, hey, I think you need to relook at this instead of, and target, the offenders, basically self-explanatory. Yeah.
Any thoughts on this, Council? Gary?
I agree with the city of Cold Lake. I mean, I do remember about 15 years ago, I think that other Liberal government tried something similar, and I don't know, wasn't it somewhere in between $1 billion and $2 billion that went nowhere and targeted the wrong gun? Yeah. So
yeah, they ended up nowhere anyway.
Yeah, I remember I had to take a whole bunch of safety courses and that. It did end in nothing. It was $1 billion or two wasted for law-abiding gun owners. So I support what Cold Lake's doing, but I'm not a big fan of the Liberal government.
I heard that.
I'm in full agreement too, so yeah, same idea. It's just kind of makes them look good, or they think it looks good with all the city dwellers, but I mean, it doesn't really do anything. I mean, a lot of the people that are being shot or killed are using illegal guns anyway, so what does it do?
Councilor Moss?
Through to the mayor, to the rest of council, I personally fully agree with their position and the notes made. I myself am a registered gun owner and actively participate in shooting. But however, with the council hat on tonight, I also do not believe that it is placed in municipality to be pandering in provincial or federal politics. I personally have signed lots of petitions. I've written letters, but I guess when we've had similar things come forward about us wanting to write these letters, we've erred on the side of caution of not submitting support under the town's name, as it may not be the reflection of all of our communities. So I guess I fully support the initiative personally. However, I guess I just don't know if it's really a position that the municipality should be putting themselves, as it might not be reflective of all of our residents and constituents. So I guess I personally support it, but I don't feel it's necessary for the community to put forward this particular motion, I guess. This is my opinion.
Comment, CAO Audrey, on, you know, I guess we are the elected representatives of the people of this community, and they've kind of entrusted us to hopefully make the proper decisions. So I know where you're coming from, Councillor Moss, but a bit of a gray area there as to whether we're...
I guess for me, it's just because it doesn't necessarily impact directly our community operations, and that's essentially where our focus as government is. Our focus isn't really there. So I guess I just don't want to, play political advocacy as that, but I will support whatever decision of council makes. Yeah.
Councillor Becker.
That, like, you see the new, like, make a lot of shotguns illegal.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean,
And the airsoft gun, that
like,
really isn't good.
Here's hunting is a big thing in our economy. I don't know.
I was going to say, unfortunately, the one I own was lost in a boating accident.
Okay, do we wish to have a motion on, like, this?
I would do the motion. If it's defeated, it's defeated.
Yeah,
and
okay.
it's carried.
I'd like to call the vote then. All those in favor of the motion? Oh, I mean, sorry. Yeah. I need a mover first. I forgot to look down here.
Oh,
Moved by Dee. Second? Gary. All in favor? Opposed?
I'm abstaining. I
Okay.
don't really care. I don't really care one way or the other.
Motion's carried. Okay. 7.2, see you, Chris.
Don't go far.
Yeah, don't go far, this won't take long. Agenda item 7.2, that the Council of Town of Kindersley resolves to approve the purchase of a 7.5 horsepower rotary screw-type compressor for the Kindersley Fire Hall from Key Sheet Metal at a cost not to exceed $15,192 plus applicable taxes, and that the cost be paid by using funds from general revenue. That sound good? Okay, I need a mover and a seconder for the motion then, please.
Or you just gonna ask after?
Oh, did you want to comment on it first? Yeah.
Well, I was just wondering about,
Oh, but it's not to, sorry, so through the mayor, so it won't be to exceed. So we will definitely speak with them about reducing it because they don't need to remove, and yeah, if you want to keep the current compressor in there so that it's just as a backup.
Not to
I
exceed.
would imagine they're gonna really give a shortcut, so they're not, but anyway,
Do you want to explain what?
yeah. I can, if you want.
Yeah, Dean, please.
Yeah, the original air compressor put in the fire hall was too small, not realizing the full use of what their intentions were, what they were using it for. So the air compressor that was in there was too small, it was overheating, they didn't have enough air, so we're putting a bigger one in, one that won't be an issue ever, and keeping the other one there as a backup unit because it's already installed and everything anyway, so it'll be just there. If that one goes down, at least they've always got air. So it's kind of where, that's why that happened anyway.
All right, any further questions, council, on that? Need a mover and a seconder for that one for that. Yeah. Need a mover and a seconder for the motion, please. Very indeed. Time for the question, all those in favor? Carried, thank you. Okay.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, we can get Chris back in. Been home already. Okay. Agenda item 7.3, that the Council of Town of Kindersley approve the discretionary use application DU number 08 for a home-based business and the residence at 122 Stewart Crescent, on the condition that no written submission from assessed property owners within the 75-meter boundary are received prior to 12 p.m. August 6, 2020, pursuant to Section 3, Sub 10, Sub 1, Subsection 1 of the zoning bylaw 0414, on the condition that it complies with the development standards of home-based businesses pursuant to Section 411, 3, Sub 1 to 9 of zoning bylaw 0414, on the condition that the applicant obtains a business license from the town prior to operation and every year of operation, and if any of the conditions outlined above are not met for this proposed home-based business, that the permit may not be approved and or may be revoked. Speak to Deputy Administrator Kim. Can you speak on that, please?
Sure, to the Mayor and Council. So this is a discretionary use permit for a home-based business. This is an R1 residential zone, so this is located at 122 Stewart Crescent. The business is for dog grooming. Its business name is Barks and Bubbles. It's meeting all the regulations within the zoning bylaw 014. We did send out the notice of discretionary, the notice of discretionary use to the 75-meter radius around that property. We did not receive any comments, whether positive or negative, and there's no one here tonight, to my knowledge, that has any comments as well for this.
Any questions of Deputy Administrator? If not, I would need a mover and a second for that. Chris and Rob. All in favor? Thank you. Okay, we'll move on to 7.4. Welcome our delegation here. Corey Teaka from, what is it, Five Funds? Is that the
Synergy 5 Investments.
Synergy 5 Investments, correct. Brian Walls from the Arbor Ridge Hotel. So I'll just read agenda item 7.4 and then we'll move on to some discussion on it. That the Council of the Town of Kindersley approved the cannabis retail store DU number 2007 for discretionary use at 208 12th Avenue East, on the condition that no written submissions from assessed property owners within the 75-meter boundary are received prior to noon, August 6, 2020, pursuant to Section 3, Sub 10, Sub 1, Subsection 1 of zoning bylaw 0414, on the condition that it complies with the development standards of discretionary commercial and industrial uses pursuant to Section 6, Sub 14, Sub 51A of zoning bylaw 0414, that if any of the conditions outlined above are not met for this proposed cannabis retail store, then the permit may not be approved and or may be revoked. Kim, can you comment on that, I guess?
Sure. So this is a discretionary use permit application. This is for the C3 Highway Commercial District. So this the permit application is for a cannabis retail store. Looking through the application, this application is meeting all the requirements as set out in the zoning bylaw. We did send out the notice of discretionary use to the 75-meter radius, as we always do. Following that, however, we did receive some comments from some of the property owners within that 75-meter radius, and I think, Your Worship, you had also spoke with some as well.
Yes, I met with one couple who were very upset about it, and rightfully so. We lost a child 2 years ago, and they are right next door. So they were very upset. I had subsequently, we had emails, and I had 3 phone calls from 3 other people, and every one of them said, I have no problem with a store in this town. I have just a problem with that location, and I think they were supporting this couple quite clearly, I guess I would have to say. But I think that we welcome your, first I'd like you, Corey, if you would just kind of tell us your business and Do you, just as an aside, do you have the one in Metro one too?
No.
That's the other
company
one.
altogether. So,
Yeah, okay.
So our company is Energy 5 Investments. It's the company that was formed by 4 First Nations corporations, Desmond Heat, Athabasca Basin, Peter, Valentine, First Nation, and the Prince Albert Aboriginal Development Corp. This is owned by 13 communities, so this is not a traditional business. When we get to a profitable model, which is in the future for us very soon, that money goes back into those communities to use for programs. And some of those programs will be for substance abuse of other types. They will be used for alcohol programs, all sorts of those kind of social things that come out of this. We threw our name into the lottery of Saskatchewan. There was 51 licenses available. We were successful with 3. We have all 3 stores opening in the province. North Battleford is open, Warren's open, and Yorkton is also open. None of the stores have had any problems. The difference I feel between what happened in an industry 2 years ago and what has happened in today's world, this product's tested. It goes through rigorous testing through a company called Nandamine, and they do a very detailed analysis on what goes into these products. Compared to what was happening before in the illicit market, you could experience things like mold, heavy metals. You could experience, there was a situation at Edmonton where they were sprinkling them with fentanyl. Lots of really crazy things going on in this industry that really changed it. We, as I said, had no problem with criminals. People don't stand outside and smoke. That's not what happens in them. Our buildings functionally work kind of like a McDonald's. People pull up, they get up, they look at the menu, they order the product, they walk out. There's no real loitering in there. The average time that a person spends inside one of these stores is less than 5 minutes. They go in, they go out, they go home. Everybody understands that you can't consume in public. People buying cannabis are supposed to put it in their trunk, not in their front seat, so it's not consumed while they're driving. We've got a very well-educated staff. I'm very proud of who we've become as a company. Every community we've been into, they're a fan of us. We hire a good number of people, so for this location, if it's successful, we'll probably hire between 10 and 15 people in the community. And we don't pay traditional retail wages. Our wages start at $15 and go up, so it's not like it's a bare minimum wage job. Because of the company that we are, I'll give you a funny example. When I was hired, one of the board members turned to me and leaned in pretty firmly and said, "Corey, we're rule followers here. You need to understand that." So I can say this with lots of pride. Five Buds is the only cannabis company in Saskatchewan, the legal market, that does not have anything against it compliance-wise. We've got the cleanest record there is. We can go over about that. You're welcome to phone SLG and ask them about us. There are other people that have rooms full of files of non-compliance. We have none. And we're very proud of that. We do not plan on ever changing that. I have a good management team that looks after its people, and we treat them very well. We have an employee assistance program that's heavily weighted towards mental health. People who consume cannabis, predominantly some of them will have more gravitation toward mental health. So we invested heavily into that to make sure we were covered and set up for people to involve with that. Do you have any questions about the industry? I can answer quite well. And
I know, like I said, me personally, it's kind of a confusing topic because I'm totally against it, but it's law now and all for business, so it's a hard thing. So like I said, for the most part, I will be voting on what is right, not with what I feel or whatever. So just so you know how that part of it. I mean, it's a tough thing to agree to something that you've kind of been against all your life, but like I said, now it's legal and it's a business entity. It's kind of, you go with, it's a legal entity. So yeah, I don't really have any questions. It's kind of, to me, it's self-explanatory how it runs and that kind of thing for yourself.
Councilor Anderson.
I guess I'm in agreement with Kelly. It's a gray area for me. When you said 15 full-time people, what do you mean by full-time, you said, like
No, 15.
part-time?
It's like typical retail, so like a clothing store or something, we're gonna have a balance of part-time and full-time.
Part-time.
And that's gonna be dictated by sales volume. If we come in here and it's busy nonstop, that could be 15 full-time jobs, could be. But I don't know. I don't, you know, for our Warman store, we have 15 people there, and 11 are full-time.
So, but like, hours of operation, what kind of hours do you guys run?
We are currently running in all of our stores 10 a.m. till 9 p.m. Monday through Saturday, and then Sunday we modified that and tightened that up to 11 till 6. Nothing good happens after 9 o'clock.
Isn't that
Probably right there. Councilor Becker.
I'm with the other councilors, I'm not a huge fan of that substance, but it is legal. Sound like a broken record. That location, not a huge fan just because of the pushback we got. We got a lot. I think everybody in that area pushed back. So I mean, the NIMBY thing, it's never easy to find a location, but I think there is room for one in town, and it sounds like your track record is good, but maybe not in that location, right?
May I ask what with that location? Is there something that I don't know about that, or?
No, just the pushback that we got from our constituents.
Just the next door, the one having a kid die because of substance abuse, and
Yeah, it just,
That would, that was
was probably the main thing.
yeah. Councilor Moss.
Through the mayor to our delegates and I guess rest of council, I personally am not opposed to the operation of this within our community. I know us as council, we previously identified the C3 zone in which that is located as an area which we felt would be appropriate because it wasn't near playgrounds and schools and residential and all of that. As they have alluded, we have had some pushback by commercial businesses within the area, which, I mean, it's kind of a balancing act that we as council end up having to play in this point because it is kind of a not in my backyard situation, but is it the right thing to do for the community? It's kind of puts us in those positions. I guess for myself, I'm one of those people that as long as it is in the permitted area, as long as it fits within the regulatory standards and all of that, I personally can't see any reason why as a municipal or in a municipal way that it would be a bad thing for our community. And I don't think we're ever going to find any location that we're going to have 100% happy people. So I guess one concern we do have, and I guess I would wonder if you have looked at other areas. I guess if this discretionary use permit does not get approved by council tonight, then obviously that changes your application significantly. And I guess, is there any other areas within Kindersley that you identified as potential operating? Why did you identify this location as the one that was preferred? I guess is more what I'm wondering.
In order for us to make a financial model that works, we need to be in the high traffic areas. I did look downtown. There's just not enough business downtown to support what is required for us. Our business works on volume, so if you have volume, you can make money. If you don't have money, you're out of business. So you have to reach a certain cusp of sales to maintain a business to get there, like a grocery store. Grocery stores work on volume. And the only other area that I wanted to go into that we could find that would work really well for us is not inside your zone. So I had talked to the gentleman who runs cameras, and he was willing to give up half of his space to make this happen inside of his space, but that's outside your zoning. There is no other space along the highway that is within the size that we need. Like, we only need less than 1,500 square feet to generate space. And I spent quite a few days driving through the city, and I actually phoned the organizer kind of on a whim because he had an empty lot next to his building, and I was like, you thought about building on it? And then he pitched that the laundromat space would be a very good space for us. The other part of the laundromat space is it's a cinder block building, which can be deemed by SLGA as being one giant vault. So there's lots of great things that were appealing to us about that space because of security. It was a space for us that was in a high profile area, and for us, the success for us has been to be in busy areas, not off the beaten path, for lack of a better word, because visibility deters the unsafe things, I should say. We want to be someplace where it's going to be lots of traffic, lots of visibility, and avoid areas of problems so that we can maintain our great record of having wonderful compliance and
Yeah, so
be a
you've
part of the community. So
definitely taken a look around the community, and this is, as of your perception, the only available feasible location for it
inside your zone.
inside our zoning. Okay.
Anybody else on council got anything?
You're mentioning that you did a model, and you're asking, you're telling us that grocery stores look at places where they're going to have the highest traffic. And downtown has 2 successful grocery stores, all of our banks. So what's wrong with downtown?
Nothing's wrong with downtown. That's not what I'm saying. It's we need to get to a certain height of sales, which requires more traffic than just the, we'll call it 5,000 people to live here. The feasibility of running a business on the highway increases our financial success. So if we don't reach a certain custom of sales, we can't break even on our business. So we have a break-even point in our business that is dictated by the number of units we sell. The margins aren't that high in cannabis. The guys in the illicit market, they make lots of money. We don't. Our margins are very low, so we need to be in busy places like a McDonald's, a busy, high-traffic center.
So ultimately, it's about capturing the maximum capturing of the trading area, in which you say you would not necessarily get in a downtown area, which the trading area would not be traveling through or past. It would take you longer to get there.
Kindersley is not big enough to support our store. We've done it's a very complicated calculation, but based on what the provincial government's put out regarding consumption, they're claiming 10% of the population consume cannabis. If you slowly break that down, that would mean that maybe 500 people in Kindersley consume cannabis. Of those 500 people, they're estimating that 40% of them actually buy from the legal market, and they're spending on average about $50 a month.
I guess I'm having a tough time with this. So you're saying people driving through that see your store will stop in and buy there so that they can get to the next, have enough to get to the next town?
No. If you look,
I guess I'm thinking it's like if people are looking for a cannabis store, the first thing they do is they grab their phone and Jack Kindersley's got one, we're good to go. I'm not gonna just, so I guess I'm having a tough time with you having to be on the highway. I'm not in the business, so I'm just, I guess I'm not seeing the connection. I don't know if people driving through are buying or if they're driving to Kindersley because it's a cannabis store.
Typically, they're driving to the centers.
So I guess for me, that means location shouldn't matter as much.
They can't find you inside your town. It's too far off the highway to find you.
With the Google.
I guess.
We don't have to be successful. They're all resources we currently.
Well, that's fair enough. I just, for me, I have a thinking if they're driving here to find it, they'll find it.
Yeah, and people typically need to see before they can do it. That's why McDonald's is on a busy corner at the front. That's why Co-op's gas stations are where it is. And that's why that shopping center you guys have there as well.
I don't follow that logic, but yeah. I see what
Marketing
you're saying.
101 is essentially location, location, location. I mean,
Maybe you
I
can
guess
get
I think
less
what he's
pushback
getting at.
over by McDonald's then.
It's outside your zone. I'd love to do it. It's just outside your zone.
C4.
Yeah, you
The
can.
mall area.
It's not allowable in C4 district or C5.
Yeah, I actually talked to a realtor on the Cameron Clothing Company. thing, and I said, we're talking about putting a cannabis store next door to the most popular teenage purchasing place in Kindersley. That didn't fly with me for sure. I just thought it was not the right place.
Typically where they're going in centers is, like if you look into other markets, they're going to, not necessarily like that one, but similar strip malls is where the cannabis shops are going.
Yeah, the one in North Balfour is just on a strip mall there.
Albert's a strip mall.
It's up on top of the hill, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not that way, so.
Most of the ones in, the city centers and stuff are in strip mall concepts.
Any further questions or comments, council? Brian, did you have any comments at all?
Well, just as the owner of the property, like you said, you're obligated to help the people that are coming in. And you're always going to have that negative feedback, no matter, like you say, where you put it. The main concern that I had was as long as it wasn't close to a school, a playground, a daycare center, stuff like that. I mean, we've got a vacant lot next door to it. We own that property, so whatever we put in there, we'll have an overriding view of what goes in there, and that was a concept we had when we bought that property years ago. And getting back to cannabis stuff, a lot of the stuff that does get sold there is not only the cannabis that you would smoke, but you're also into edibles, you're also into your oils. The report came out this morning on CNBC that the average age of a person going into a cannabis store is 55 and older. The young people go into the free market. They aren't going to come in and get wine and dine, schmoozed and all this stuff here. They have a specific market that it goes into, and if you want to put it in a low traffic area, then you, like Corey was saying, you don't know who's coming in there, how you can monitor it, how you can look after it. I mean, we may be upsetting some people with location, but we live there 24/7. The other businesses that are there aren't 8 to 5, they're there till midnight as well. So we look after each other, whether it's a sub place or whether it's a pizza place. If there's any problems or issues, they're there. Friday and Saturday nights, 9 o'clock, you can see the RCMP patrol cars go to the pizza place, go to the sub place, they're sitting there. They're picking up some of their food. So it doesn't lean itself to a very criminal corner. I mean, there definitely is, like you said, it's like Dean said, you're not going to find the perfect place. But, I mean, how many times do you guys sit around in a circle and decide, how can we attract new business into town? Well, let's get another motel or another restaurant. That's what we really need. Some more motels and more restaurants. That'll really put the fire out fast, won't it? Well, let's find something maybe that somebody's coming knocking to our door who wants to come into our town. Do I like it? Maybe I don't. Did I lose a child? I'm very sorry. Maybe I did. Am I going to lose some more children on the road? Maybe I will. But when they go into Corey's store, the professionalism is going to be there. The products aren't going to be a guy sitting in the corner rolling his joint and licking it and lighting it. You're dealing with professional people. Plus, it's regulated through the retail, through the federal government. The products they buy is coming through the federal government for authorization. So you've ticked as many boxes as you can. The only box you haven't ticked is personal anxiety. I don't know if you're ever going to be able to tick it all. All the political parties want to get 100% of the vote. Well, I just need 51%. And so, I mean, we're going to give us a chance to see if it runs. If there's problems with it, well then, we'll address it like anything else. Like Corey said, they have no problems. All their compliances are excellent. Well, at that location, we'll make sure it maintains it. And if we don't, well then, make adjustments then.
It is a nice looking store. It does add to the communities it goes to. My wife refers to them as the Tiffany's of Canada. That's what our stores are. They're very high end. We don't cheap out of the store. They look good.
Are you planning on totally the laundromat disappearing? Ryan?
No, what we're doing is, the building's 1,400 square feet, laundromat is about 600. We're taking about 700 square feet and starting with that. And then they're just going to remodel and redesign that. And the other half of the building, there's a suite that we have, we're going to be taking that out. And then between the two buildings, the laundromat and motel is a vacant piece of ground, and we're going to build something there and put the suites in there. So we're just moving down to the front, and we're going to move to the back.
Okay, Councilor Baker.
How many complaints do we have?
5.
How many were property owners in the radius?
4 out of 5.
4 out of 5.
So could I suggest maybe that
Out of the
you
7
guys
properties?
have a conversation
Okay.
with them? That was vote change?
Yeah, no, I thought they were coming here this evening, that's why we came.
We thought so too.
Yeah.
We were,
I mean, and ultimately, when you lose a child to this kind of, boy, oh boy, I don't know if there's a Band-Aid big enough to cover the whole. I'm sorry, and 2 minutes later, I'm still saying sorry.
yeah, no, I agree.
I mean, and it's well, what can I do? I mean, it's like saying a firearm store opened up and, well, my son was shot. Well, I mean, how do you get around that? I mean, I can talk till my lips fall off, but I'm sorry, I can't, what am I going to say? Never win that argument. And I don't want to even, if I look forward to it, nobody's told me, but I got a good idea of who that couple is, and I'm aware of them, and they're good neighbors to us, and I know them well, and I mean, it's just the concept they have. I mean, he's not throwing knives at us because he doesn't like us. He just got, I've been there, a bad taste.
Councilor Gilbert.
So I'm not all up on the ins and outs of all this, but can we hold off on this and let them see if they can get more people, some of the others at least on board saying, okay, you've talked to me to allow, to help us out on our side, but
Well, I can talk to him, Dean, but I mean, how do I get the couple to admit?
well, you don't, I mean, the other ones are on it, there's 3 others out of 4, you know what I mean?
Well, give us a list, I'll talk to him.
You can table this.
I think that'd be.
Yeah, I would say.
Then we're going to table this.
You know, I mean, just help us out.
Oh, no, I'll definitely talk to him, but I know
That's all we're asking.
my job, yeah.
Like I said, we're not saying no to it, but we're still gonna deal with every property owner that's around it, you know what I mean?
May I ask a question?
Yeah.
I don't know this situation, but this wasn't a cannabis death.
No,
No.
So they're blanking everything into one.
we're taking that one right out of the picture, we're just talking about the other ones. Like you said, look, you can never win that, that's a start.
Yeah, give me a list, I'll talk to him.
Yeah, no, if you're okay with that, like I said, it would help us out a ton too.
Were they all the same objections, or were they all different?
I think they're probably,
Probably the same idea, but I mean, you just got described in your store, like for me, it's, like you said, you're top notch. You follow everything. Yeah, but I mean,
And
like,
maybe that's what they need to see.
but maybe that's what they need, is your perspective. I can't say anything about it, because like I said, I'm kind of against it, so it's hard for me to defend something,
It's an industry where people still see it as sin, and we know that. I talked a lot, I was just in front of the PAC council, I had the exact same conversation there. They've approved us. I've got the rendering for what that store will look like, which is what the store will look like here, which is kind of like that thing.
and it's the good neighbor thing to talk to them, right?
Sure.
Like, and
maybe you guys explain it, if you be in there all the time. and
when
just-
Brian said he lives there, which you do, that goes a long way, you're gonna live
Those
right
people
by
should
it.
know that, and
They
probably,
might, but maybe they're just backing on the other, but if they see the other side of it, maybe they just kind of,
yeah, no, we'll give her a shot.
Like you talking to me tonight convinced me, and you said, well, I live there, yeah, well, if you live there and you're,
These are the addresses.
and if the hours are like a bar or.
Well, I've never seen it, I saw them, but I don't know, there aren't that many businesses in the 75 media radius. But,
No, but it's like you say, you
Yeah.
have to.
but you won't give us the names of the people we're supposed to talk to?
Probably.
For
Do
privacy, I think
confidentiality
you
and
could just give the addresses of the city.
So when I go ahead and I talk to these people,
Just say,
do I need a letter of reference? You would want a letter of reference back, say, look, I agree?
No.
I don't want to make,
No, I guess probably the way we do it is if you talk to them, and then maybe don't know if you go back with, to those people again, or how do you?
I guess my suggestion would be is to maybe, for the company especially to be involved in this, is to maybe go in and have the same discussion you had with us tonight with those businesses, because a lot of this NIMBY stuff comes in with not fully understanding. I mean, we don't have it in our community. A lot of them aren't in communities where they're there. Maybe there's some fear and concern about what the impacts on their businesses or neighbors would be, and maybe having a discussion would help mitigate some of those concerns, because a lot of times the fear comes from not fully knowing what's going to happen once that there is there too. So I guess that would be my thing, is that.
What's that?
So when we're done talking to them, we let you know.
Then we, I guess,
Then
probably
we
if
sit
we come
down.
back when it's tabled again, and then those people.
Yeah, we'll table it till our next meeting, which is 2 weeks from today. In the interim, if you can talk to a few people, and I think you've done a wonderful job tonight of presenting your case, but it needs to be heard by.
I think to make that easier too, if they are willing to send us something in writing that they are in support of it, that definitely wouldn't hurt.
Yeah.
I think if you could get that.
Councillor Bedford.
And it's too bad none are here tonight.
Yeah, we thought they were gonna be, so.
Sort of,
Well, that's what I thought. When I got the phone call.
And that's why we're kind of, like, that's where we're thinking, okay, well, we didn't get the whole, you know what I mean?
Hopefully some of them will log in and view the discussion tonight, so that they, are aware of the discussion that's had, because it is videoed. So hopefully if they weren't able to be here, they'll
we could probably
refer
start
to the
to,
video.
maybe not.
That's, could you help with that? Because I don't want to go and approach somebody and they've already got their back up and that's,
Yeah.
I might as well run into the wall, but, like running into the walls.
I think we could enlighten them to watch the online count.
Yeah.
Because, it would have been nice if some of them would have came, because usually when you got big pushback, you
Oh,
fill the room, right?
We've done other projects where people disagree with it, but at least they came to the hearing.
Yeah,
At least if you're gonna,
we assume that.
if you're gonna go full circle, like I said, well, here we are all dressed up and nobody's dancing. Now what do we do? But I mean, like I said, we'll go and talk to them and stuff like this, but, I guess.
I guess what it is, I hope you appreciate our side, we just really like to have somebody, it would help our cause too, if, like, when you have nobody that wants it, for us to go against the group, which we have all the right to, but
Well,
if you get a couple on your side, all of a sudden now we have, it's not a definitive majority.
But the thing is, not to be ignorant or stupid, but we've got 6 or 7 people against it. We've got 4,000 people for it.
But if you can get 2 or more to sway it, then it's a
No, I got no problem talking.
That's all, that's kind of what I want, that makes it easy for all of us.
You've got 4 in the 75-meter radius already, it's not really looking good.
Well, with the
You can
numbers,
say that 400 or 4,000 or whatever in support of it, but you don't even have 4, you got 4 against in 75 meters.
well, we've had that same problem in other projects we've done. Whenever we do a hearing, when we've got to do a compliance, the letters get sent out. We've done building projects and the same thing too. We've got 5, 6, 7, 8 people that have been against it for various reasons, but we've addressed those reasons too.
Yeah.
But they came to the hearing. But we'll go talk to them. Yeah, I got no problem at all.
Yeah, I think that would be the right approach. I think, like, you've really, like Gary said, you've cleared up some questions that we had certainly, and
then we'll get them to encourage the company.
Yeah.
The feedback.
yeah, we won't make any decisions until 2
Yeah, and
weeks.
just like say, give them my name too, or just say, please talk to me or whoever they want to.
Do we know what their concerns are?
I think a lot of it's uncertainty. Like,
We don't really know because we were hoping.
Yeah, it's hard for
it's all
a city like yours, you want business.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Essentially, I don't know if we were given a direct for sure
No.
reasoning, so I mean.
Well, there was some question about property values.
Well, keeping in
I don't
mind,
think I agree with that.
It's not
I think
gonna-
keeping in mind property values is a lot different than we just renting a spot. If I buy my business and I put it beside you, now I'm there. But if it's a rental lease, I mean, after 3 or 4 or 5 years, Corey can pick up and that's, you know, if it doesn't work out, doesn't pan out, it's gone. So, yeah, if that's property values, that's not going to deter nothing from that anyway. But I mean, that's a concern, we'll address that.
Yeah.
That would be
I feel like
substantial
that makes sense
improvements.
if you have something nice
We're
to
gonna
say.
spend a lot of money.
Yeah.
Our stores aren't inexpensive.
And if they just hear that side of it, at least, I mean, they've got the full story of what is going on there. It's not like we made a decision and they're all ignorant or whatever.
I think seeing a picture like that is worth 1,000 words too.
The one PA is nicer. A lot nicer.
You probably got a picture of it on your phone too.
That's the idea, actually, you wanted to see it.
So, yeah, I think that's what we will do. We will hold off for a couple of weeks. We'll let you do a little groundwork and see where we go from there.
So then in 2 weeks, you'll have a better,
Yeah.
Hopefully we can have,
Yeah, we're gonna-
I will come and visit you, Brian, next week too.
And you guys are welcome
Sorry
to
for
come back
that.
in 2 weeks as well.
I'm glad you came though and gave us.
Yeah,
It helped us out.
I think it certainly was
That's,
positive.
It wasn't a wasted trip, I guess.
no, I totally understand this. This is only 2 years into a brand new industry that before this was go to jail. And now it's a massive tax engine for government. The amount of money that comes out of this is crazy in Saskatchewan.
But they still don't want to share it.
I know, that's
In spite of the fact that was in the legislation. I'm for the record.
maybe one.
Someday, but
Not anymore.
thanks very much for both of you for coming. I really appreciate it.
Thanks a lot.
You've made it. You've given us some food for thought for sure.
thank you.
Thank you.
Nice meeting you.
have a nice night.
We make a motion then to table this until the next meeting.
We don't actually have to.
We don't?
That's
Okay, we will table this until the next next meeting. And we will move on to 8.1, that the Council of the Town of Kindersley resolves to accept as submitted the list of accounts as paid by the Town of Kindersley and in the amount of $1,318,945.64. And a copy of said accounts be attached to and form part of the minutes of this meeting. Did you get any queries, CAO Audrey?
Through the mayor's council, yes, I got one from Councillor Becker just regarding the Merlin invoice, was quite high. And that was 11,000 something for the lettering at the pool and at the West Central Event Center. So that was the main portion of that.
Yeah, that was tendered to us.
That was correct, that was tendered, and the rest of it was just like, again, our hosted services and that kind of stuff. But that was the only question I had.
Yeah, there's some big numbers in here too, but RCMP policing costs for the year. were in
Yes.
there.
What is happening there, sorry, I don't know if I'm on top, speak of policing, is that new police thing happening there?
We haven't met anybody here yet,
I don't
have
think
we?
they've got their plans totally
Not quite,
in
okay.
yet. so.
Oh, for the building, yeah.
Yeah.
Nothing's
No,
changed.
we haven't, I don't even know if we have a staff sergeant here yet.
Your worship, and he is scheduled to come to the September 28th meeting of
Okay,
council. At this
perfect.
point in time, they've just moved into town and secured a residence, so he'd like a chance to settle, but sent his regards and will be coming.
Excellent. Okay? Yeah, the other big chunk of money was the school tax remittance of $720,000 for end of July. So I need a mover and a seconder for these accounts, please. Second, Rob? All in favor? Thank you. Okay. Agenda item 9.1, that the Council of the Town of Kindersley resolves to approve the consent agenda, including, as I stated earlier, one item, Saskwater operational report for the month. That's it. Not much correspondence. Could I have a mover and seconder of that, please? Three. Second, Chris. All in favor? Okay.
You can go all through those green tabs real quick. At the top. And then, yep,
So we're at 13.1, that the Council of the Town of Kindersley resolves that all business having been concluded, the August 10th, 2020 regular meeting of council be adjourned at 7:53 p.m. Have a mover and seconder, please. Lisa Dean. All in favor?